Alright, me lover, I'm Josh. Welcome back to the channel and thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be covering a big FAQ in the relational space, and that's why men cheat. Now this is going to bring up a lot of emotions for a lot of people, and today I'm going to help you as a woman or man see both sides of the argument, whether it's anxious or avoidant, and use a fantastic case study that's been dug up from 6 years ago, and it's #hurtbae. Now there's a few series of videos, if you don't already know what these are, and I just want to react to them as I've seen them for the first time and show you exactly a dynamic why a man has become super avoidant, distant, and ended up in the worst possible case scenario, infidelity. This is going to be a bit of a journey. Now I'm going to see with an intuitive eye who is up to blame here and who needs to take righteous responsibility. So let's rock and roll, watch together. Let's just whiz through the second part here. This is a year later, and it seems like they've really accepted it, really know who each other are, and pretty resentful at each other.
I love with you. I wanted to be with you. But that's all in the past now.
I hope I never see you again.
Boom. I hope I never see you again. Now it's getting raw and real. I think there's been a bit of a backlash from that first episode. That's my personal assumptions. How this has all actually been taken publicly is also a little bit of evidence to think about. Is there some attention seeking going on, which is kind of part of the feminine? Feminine wants to be seen, and it can be a healthy thing, can also be an emotionally manipulative thing. She may have seen an opportunity for fame with this failing relationship, and she also may have seen a great villain in the hero's journey. She probably wants to take all the women who have also been anxiously attached, hurt, deceived, to see the common enemy and riot up an army. Now this is what we call a slander campaign. These are used by narcissists covertly to destroy the reputation of another person, and the feminine in its negative, malevolent ways can do that. They know exactly what they're doing because reputation to men and status to men is one of their most prized possessions. So to destroy that is the greatest superpower a woman can have. On the opposite, men are more aggressive, physically more dominant potentially, and use that to dominate in the situation. It doesn't seem like he's doing that, but the avoidant tactics are being recruited here now. And so when we don't feel like we're worthy, useful, and fulfilling our role in a relationship, the masculine can start to feel dejected, to feel less worthy. And it could be a reason why they protest to cheat, to blow the relationship out of proportion so they can find somebody who they're more compatible and a role fit. So potentially it could also hurt a man's sense of self when the woman is trying to outcompete the man. It sounds like she super values success, metrics, status, and if he's not fulfilling that prophecy, what happens? There's a projection of an ideal that the man never feels like he can attain. And if it's continually coming up in conversation that they're not enough or not grateful for what they have, what problem happens here? Men feel inadequate. Ooh, we don't want to feel inadequate in any situation for any matter. I don't think anyone wants to feel those feelings. And who knows what happens behind closed doors, but maybe those conversations trigger a lot coming up for the guy. Anyway, let's move on.
I'm in a good place, taking care of myself, drinking more water, exfoliating. I'd like to learn my lessons the hard way. I'm glad that we did the video. It's definitely changed both of our lives for the better.
I think they took away that I was a damsel in distress and he was a villain. And it wasn't...
The fact that the damsel, there's an identity from culture that paints them out to be people that who knows the truth. But it seems that they use the video as a way to therapize themselves and move on, which I don't think is a healthy thing to do. Bringing things public before they're ready to be opened up to the public eye is a very courageous, brave, and potentially irresponsible thing to do, to be honest. But there we go. Everybody processes it in their own way. There we go.
That cut and dry. We both are human and we both make mistakes.
People feel like they know the whole story of our relationship from watching a 5-minute video, which is just absurd and, kind of makes me seem like a bad person, which I'm not.
You're not a bad person.
Courtney was like one of the only people I could relate to. There hasn't really been a video like this before.
Yeah, you're like infamous now.
I used to read the comments and see all the fucked up shit people would say, wish death on me. Being judged by people that don't know me is really, I don't take it personally. I'm a black man living in America, so I've kind of been judged on things outside of my character my whole life. I don't know, I kind of think that the cycle with me and Courtney might have continued. Part of the reason I did the video was so that, Courtney would be able to move on.
So that I could move on.
Yes, because you still wanted to be with me after I didn't want to be with you.
Did I?
Yeah, I don't know
what
why
are you
you
talking
sit
about?
up here in front.
Oh, here we go.
When you approached me to do the video, you were not exclusive, I wasn't.
So defensiveness is kicking on. Contempt is happening right there. The trigger happened. It was quite fond. And this is a vicious cycle that they have micro cycles, I'm sure, within their relationship, which creates just a lot of arguments. There was a lot of you didn't move on and potential blaming. And this is where there's defensiveness from the feminine here to say, why are you blaming me? I'm not the only one wrong here, And then there was definitely a cycle of ping-ponging it back to him to suggest that he may not have played all of his cards or his heart on his hand, but she's trying to divulge that information now.
Not exclusive.
I was
You did your thing.
I
did
did
my
not
thing.
do my thing.
We did this to get exposure as entertainers.
That's not true.
It was obviously a setup for me because I was the one who would be painted as a cheater.
I asked you to do it so we could talk about things because we never talk about things.
What is there to talk about?
Us being together.
It's not healthy. So another thing that was absolutely not healthy. Just as I said, going public is not a way to therapize. This should be private. And it's a great bit of advice for anyone listening is, some things are worthy of keeping private. We need to create a healthy independence and healthy privacy because the self relationship is one of the most important relationships we have for the rest of our lives. We live with ourselves for the rest of our lives. So if we feel that everything private is puked online, then what is it about our lives that is precious to us? And it's good to have a form of mystery to simply protect yourself and know that you've got your own back. You need to be your own bodyguard. You need to have a castle and a fort around some information. So to divulge it all to strangers is a very bad tactic to do. And I hope the media channel hasn't been a predator to this innocence as well. We're kind of naive when we're in distress. And we tend to try and find any quick fix that comes in a simple solution, but there's never simple solutions to breakups, I'm afraid. So hopefully they've learned that lesson now.
We were never together. This is what happened. I ordered food, chill for the night.
Shut up.
There we go.
Shut up.
The we were never together, right? Just there. We were never together. She's hurt. She really thought she's connected to him. Maybe there's also a father wound with her. She feels that there's faux intimacy with avoidant men. But on the other hand, there's a lot of shut up. There's no space to be heard. There's just a resent brooding under the carpet, and there's no ability for them both to see eye to eye and deal with things maturely. So they're both in the same boat here.
Come get some truth.
You're tripping. You're tripping.
Sit down.
Don't tell me what to do. You're tripping. What are you doing? What is this?
You throw things out there like that without adding context to make me look like a bad person.
You
That's
look
all
like
it
a
is.
crybaby right now.
Oh, emasculation, boom. This is one of those things that triggers the masculine. And I don't want to hear them to be, he's not a baby girl boy. He's not a pussy. He's not a wussy. He's not a frail, toxic masculine here, because I know women can emotionally manipulate men very, very well. We need to speak to each other with fondness. And if men cheat because they're not feeling appreciated, spoken to fondly, then no wonder it's ended the way it has.
You're crying because you said cruel things to me. You cheated on me. You put me through hell, Leonard. I want to talk to you real quick.
It's over with. You're not on my team.
When I should have said to hell with him, I said he's not a bad person. Multiple times.
Saying he's not a bad person is not saying, oh, he told me that he didn't want to be in a relationship.
You never said that.
Never?
You didn't say that. So why didn't you say this last time?
Because...
Why didn't you tell me last time when we were here, you were never my girlfriend, I never cheated on you, now you're saying all of this, like, what are you talking?
Because we came here to get on.
That's not it.
It's painful for him. He's compartmentalized and binned the experience. This also is a way of dissociating and numbing what we're feeling. So men can do this very commonly. It's called alexithymia, and it's a way we compartmentalize experiences that were deeply painful. And sometimes we haven't fully emotionally processed them. Emotions need to actually be fully felt, and quite unconditionally. We need to not sort of block them away. As painful as they may feel, they're actually there to be felt. They're indicators that we have to let move through. If they don't, dysregulation happens. Numbness, lack of personality, lack of charisma, lack of feeling, and killing off new connection can actually occur. And it seems like that could be a common thread for him. So why do men cheat? Going back to that question, is that maybe we've numbed away all the beauty of what connection is. We've associated it with really painful experiences. And so this is now pre-framing the next relationship. If we haven't moved through our dissociative past, we may not be able to feel the consequences of cheating, and so repeat the pattern on the next person. So I hope he moves through and heals here.
That's not the case. That was never the case.
It was always the case.
Maybe that was the case for you, but I had feelings for you, and I wanted to know what was going on.
You don't want to face the truth.
What truth? What's your truth, Leonard? Go ahead. What's your truth?
You put me in fucked up situations, and then you play the victim. Every time.
It's the drama triangle.
One time, we messed around. I told you, hey, Courtney, like, I really like you, I love you, but I don't want to be in a relationship with you. That's never what I wanted.
So when people are emotionally immature, they're trying to find a rescuer, a savior to the relationship. This is kind of what they're seeking in this YouTube channel. They see that the public eye will be the savior to their relationship, or at least help them process it. This seems like the persecutor or the villain or the bad guy or the aggressor is the male here. The victim is definitely the female here. And this tends to be a very iconic role that happens. And it's definitely just regurgitating and creating even more drama because it's not being solved between the two. We do this when we're kind of infants living in adult bodies because we want mum and dad to come in and save us. We don't feel like we can like adults figure things out. We press the red danger button, the ejector seat button. We don't know what we're doing. We press that panic button, and it tends to reintroduce rescuers into the relationship that do not need to be there. And that's exactly why this whole scenario has happened. So this is a repeat of the fond of the past. So she's moved on to another guy.
We're very happy.
Good for you.
That's good to hear. I'm happy you finally found someone that can give you what you deserve, sis. I'm happy for you. I actually was in a relationship when we shot the first one.
You didn't say that last time.
Okay.
It's not your business. I don't have to tell you everything.
That's out of order. That's not truth. Truth prevails in relationships. Because truth didn't prevail in their relationship, it crumbled. There was no good foundation for trust to actually occur.
I wanted to be with you. But that's all past now.
I hope I never see you again.
Jeez.
I wipe my hands of you.
That's a ritual. Ritualize the moving on. It's a bitter way to end. Yeah, he walks off with his hands patting. Now, yes, that's not how any relationship I'd like to see end, of course. But it seems to me the only way that they would have ended. It was not going to be nice because they're both quite emotionally immature here, right? And I'm not going to take sides on this one. I want to just see the comments here now as well. Him blames her for everyone calling him a cheater. Also him cheats on her. Okay, he's so bitter and disgusting. I'm so proud of her. She handled his bad attitude with class and strength. And we can see this one-line narrative and bias. Now, both are to blame in this scenario, in my opinion. I think there's a real emasculating power in this situation and potentially an evil, malevolent intent, which is covertly in operation here. It seems like he's been painted out to be a real bad, bitter, bad guy. And don't get me wrong, it seems like he's not the most healthy masculine. Absolutely not. He doesn't deal with the way this is handled. But let's move through. He is clearly insecure with himself, and in the fact that he can't control and manipulate her anymore angers him. He's mad he lost her, and he's mad she doesn't care. And he's mad he's a bad person. I love her confidence. There we go. So this is the point where, she's a supply to potential narcissism and vice versa. Sometimes we love to play victim narcissism as well. We like to find an aggressor because we love that victim role we play as well. Vice versa. Okay, let's look at the other side of the story. And I'm not taking bias here as well. I've got a lot of content against narcissists, avoidant men, toxic masculinity, of course that exists, but I just want to see the other side of the story. Now, what's really a big eye-opener is the final video now where she breaks her silence. She looks like she's glowing and happy, which is fantastic, so good for her.
She gives me a call.
But this is now showing how she's evolved after the whole incident. And this is some very good evidence to see what's going on here.
Hey everybody, my name is Courtney George. You may know me as hurtbae, and I'm going to tell you the top 7 things that I learned after going viral. So number 1, your life changes overnight. So my best friend, she gives me a call. Court, get on Facebook, right now. So I get on Facebook and it's my face. And I'm just kind of like, oh, wow.
I'm already seeing that there's a real value to be seen. Maybe she's been neglected for a long time in her life and she's seeking fame for the validation, for the trinkets, the riches, whatever it be, but to finally be seen. We'll see further on.
So I watch the video and then I refresh and it's 10,000 views. Then I refresh and it's 100,000 views. And then it's millions and millions and millions and I'm just oh my God. I went to work and no one said anything. So I thought maybe no one saw it. And then as I'm leaving, I get on the elevator. This girl gets on the elevator with me. She's like, yeah, I just want to let you know everybody's seen the video. And I was just oh God. Everyone? She's like, everyone.
She seems proud about that. So proud about being viral. Okay, now I've gone viral. I've made some content that goes advertised to millions of people, right? But to me, there's definitely a conscious effort to not let numbers get to you. It should be a kind of a neutral feeling. It shouldn't really feel like it overwhelms your nervous system because some work needs to be done there. Maybe there's been neglect for a long time. And now finally, it seems the motivation for going live with this is coming to truth. And we're seeing there's a real value upon being seen and validation metrics.
2, you get a ton.
It doesn't matter.
So I started off at 2,100 followers. Now I have 161,000.
It's to see that her worth is dictated by followers. And again, that's a bad storyline to move through because this is not something our brain has comprehended. Not everybody in the past has ever been deemed, let's say, as influential to impact hundreds of thousands of millions of lives. Only a few ever did that in our tribal days. And it's nice to see that there's an open communication loop and there's not just elitist people influencing the world and it's kind of a spread bag, but it's just to say that there's a real attention to detail that her worth is residing in numbers.
Followers on Instagram. So
and it goes to show the narrative of women wanting reputation as well, to say that women want to feel connected to others, and that's a healthy feminine trait, by the way. So if it's healthily connected to and genuine relationships are happening, in making an impact, a genuine impact on a few, not hundreds of thousands of people, is probably the best groundworks you can ever move through in being famous in the first place.
Say 99 plus, I can scroll. So I got some.
It's quite sweet, how she's going through that. It could just be that kind of twinkly eye syndrome. Wow, this is happening to me. But it seems like there's a real attachment to nice compliments. And maybe her past relationship with Leonard didn't give that. Maybe he wasn't very good in his words of affirmation. Maybe he wasn't really affectionate. And that's exactly what she craved. Now, again, that's also why men cheat. They don't feel compatible to what needs you need. If you are, quote unquote, on the needy side and potentially anxiously attached for something, it's nice to be very clear in your request to what you do need. Maybe she didn't really communicate that, or there could have been a really hard expectation to fit, and he may have felt like he was winning a losing battle. Who knows also if he was good at communicating his needs? What does he need? More reassurance? Does he need more physical touch? Was that really ever communicated? And was it just a guessing game? And again, a chasm for connection not to exist for their relationship.
Messages. Some people were asking me, will you marry me? Will you be my girlfriend? Where do you live? Where do you work? Yeah, doing next. It's very cool to be recognized on the street and someone to ask you for a picture. And people to say that they look up to you and they think that you're a strong person. My life has changed in that perspective.
Well, good for her. I mean, there's a good note there that she wants other people to be changed for the best. That's great. And that's that. I think we've heard enough there. I think that is actually the hurtbae scenario to really describe why men cheat. Now, this is a great case study to have seen. And I wanted to actually shine light on what the commenters or the biased viewpoint were making and to see the other side of the story here. But here is a big rule book for those trying to move on from cheaters. The first thing we need to do, of course, is find acceptance. First of all, it's going through those grieving periods, feeling each compartment of your grief and not making it seem like a timeline that fits your needs. Just allow the emotions to really flow to find the acceptance. And then when you're craving that same attention or that same source of affection, we need to find it elsewhere in healthy avenues. Find a support network, find a therapist, find healthy family members to catch you in the net and take your time. Don't rush the process. And back there, I've been reading a book called The Courage to Be Disliked, and it does cover Adlerian psychology. I absolutely loved it for how we don't allow ourselves to be self-absorbed, to feel like we're inferior or superior to the world around us, and to simply heal negative relationships or that everybody is now bad. We can easily paint the world with a tainted image. Interestingly, I commonly hear that when women go through heartbreak, they tend to projectively identify men as bad. Everybody is bad. And also find fault and confirm the bias that men are just inadequate apes of species that cannot do anything. You're going to go down the Barbie route there. Dehumanizing men to be simple creatures when we're kind of are, but not massively. What we need to do here is simply first self-accept who we are. And Adler puts it into 3 phases. First of all, we need to be self-accepting of who we are. We'll dive deeper. We then need to have confidence in others. And then we need to seek contribution to others. The first one is self-acceptance. We need to destroy all narratives that love was conditional in our past relationship and that the cheating and infidelity was nothing to do with our worthiness of love. It could have been the dynamics of which you learn from. It's your behavior and not who you are. It may have been a problem with them that they're trying to figure out. And in this case, was a combination. It's nothing personal. Secondly, we also need to kind of get out of our own heads. We need to not become self-obsessed and self-interested, which may have actually happened a little bit here. We actually need to start focusing on others. Now, when I went through depression, I was highly hypervigilant. I was only really caring about my own unique depressive panic attacks that I'd had, my world tumbling down because I'd lost all my friends that I once had at school, and I felt extremely weak. The best thing I ever did to build myself back up is volunteer at what they call Alzheimer's Society, working with elderly, getting out of my comfort zone and giving back. Even though I felt like an absolute zombie, I did my best to just be a helping hand. Especially as men, you need to feel useful. Even if you're in depression, useful is defined in however you can define it. Now, be gentle with your definitions when you're depressed. Small steps, massive changes. Just inch yourself into feeling new patterns of behavior and starting to build that self-trust again. Secondly, confidence in others. The most important part is to suggest that we must have a preconceived notion that not everybody is bad. We are confident that they're not going to break our trust. New bonds, the human nature, of course, has its negatives and can be manipulative, but it's a very minute percentage that are out to really get you. And in order to do that, we need to have a confident story that we are very intentional about who we give our trust to. It's having a new statement. It's not that I will give my love and then he will hurt me. No, it's that I'm confident in giving my heart with the intention that they won't hurt me. See the difference there? It's way more empowered. It's way more free. It's way more limitless. It's not that there's a finite supply and that you're only preconceiving a bad end. We need to see each other, and I loved how Adler put it, is that we need to see each other as comrades. We are coexisting on this planet, each to our own, having our own set of problems and challenges, and that we're not the only person struggling in this world. We're simply wanting the best for one another, and wanting the best for one another is actually trying to bond with someone too. I also would highly recommend that you've seen enough evidence to create patterns of behavior that you have a reasonable judgment, as they say in law. How do they find a guilty bad guy? Well, they always make a quote-unquote reasonable judgment based on all the evidence they have. So if you haven't made a reasonable judgment that they are a good or bad person, then maybe you're jumping in without doing more intuitive work. And a great way we can set boundaries to bad people is to say that what life tasks or what relationship tasks are you responsible in order for this relationship to really flourish? What life tasks are you now responsible for moving on? What life tasks are you now responsible for knowing when your partner is cheating? When they're not fulfilling their bit of the bargain, this is not on you, it's on them. So getting very clear about what you need to do or take responsibility for in order for things to move on in the most healthy possible way. And third and finally is having a contribution to others. And it needs to be the feeling of contribution. You know, we might actually be giving a load of food to the homeless, for example, and that doesn't feel like contribution to us. But to somebody else, it may look like contribution. But the feelings are extremely important to dial in here. We need to now, when we're moving on, feel like we're interconnected to the species of social healing. So if we get into new relationships, we feel we're of value. If we get involved in a philanthropic enterprise, we need to really have that abundance feeling, that feeling that we're really of use and we enjoy that feeling. It's most important to move on and get acquainted to that nice softness that we all have and can tap into. Now, I hope that's covered why men cheat. We could go on for absolute ever. And using the hurtbae scenario has been an interesting deep dive. If you've got any questions or I failed to cover anything that you are intrigued by, then do comment below. And by now, if you haven't subscribed, please do, because I'm going to be posting more to the channel. I'll be seeing you on the next one. And again, fire in any links you want me to react to in the relational space. I'll be seeing you on the next one.